You're listening to the Esoterics Podcast, hosted by Joe Figueres and Fioraliz Franco. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast.
Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first recording that we're making after the New Year. So is it called a recording? Yeah, it's not called a taping.
Yes.
Well, it's like old school, right?
Right.
This is not an 8-track. We are not talking into a cassette recorder.
No. Welcome to the new year. I feel better already. How do you feel?
Listen, this energy has been so different, and you can tell. Remember last year I was at your house and I was like, had started to feel like the depression. I really remember it like hitting me at Quartzsite. And then just something shifted. And then of course the next 3 months were hell on earth, but this feels a lot different.
I feel really optimistic about this year. I feel like it's going to be better. Although last year wasn't terribly awful. It was just how it ended for me. But otherwise, I was looking through my pictures and stuff. I was like, I had some like really fun times in 23.
It was good for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think like most of it, it's real shitty how it ended.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Did you struggle with like the astrology and all of those things?
I didn't feel really impacted by the majority of the astrology during the year. Yeah, that wasn't it. Maybe because I was very aware of like the moon cycle, especially with like the ceremonies and doing all that. Like I became very aware, and if anything, I think it helped me. Whereas before, I kind of would just like be going through life, not even noticing.
Right.
But because I was doing the ceremonies, it made me be obviously much more intentional with the phases and what was happening and what each one meant and all of that. But how was it for you? Did you have like a specific?
Oh, 2023, it was
the whole
balls awful for me. It was well, okay, so for you were in your 3-year in a 7 universal year. So you were all about finding your most authentic expression of self, and then you were also impacted by, sort of the collective being like go deeper, find that thing, right? And then I was in a 6-year, which was all about responsibility. It's like 6th house shit, right? Get your shit together, things you got to take care of, responsibilities, health, all that stuff. And then in a 7-year, so I was going deeper into that. So it was just a lot. I went through depression the first couple months, and then we had those eclipses, and then we had all those planets in retrograde.
Yeah.
I recently did a post about it. It was just a lot, but it caused me to know myself better. I said that 2003 caused me to look at myself in a way that was different. Like I had to look at myself different. It helped me redefine who I was when I looked in the mirror, and not just physically, but it was emotionally and mentally. So again, it wasn't my favorite year as far as how I felt a lot of the times. It was a lot of inner struggle, but I still feel very blessed.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. What have you been doing? Anything fun you been up to?
I worked on a lot of those year-end tarot. I won't say I worked on them, but so I've been doing, because this is like, today is January 2nd. So I was doing a lot of readings at the end of the year to catch people up, and tarot and oracle and Akashic readings and all that stuff. So I've been doing that. There's a lot of master numbers being activated right now. That I noticed that. So.
Interesting.
What about you?
I have a movie recommendation for you.
Okay,
because okay, so I generally, and you know this about me, I like comedies, I like romantic comedies, I like feel good stuff. But I watched this movie, it was so good. It's called Quiz Lady with Awkwafina.
Oh my God, I love her.
I love Awkwafina, and this was the best.
Quiz Lady.
Yes, and without spoiling it for you, it's basically this girl, Awkwafina, who's really good at a game show, and then her sister, who's like a train wreck, her older sister who's a train wreck, comes into her life and pushes her to like get on the quiz show or whatever, through a series of events. But the whole thing, it was funny, it was sweet, it had it's like, you know, kind of tearful moments to it. Not I didn't cry, but still, like, it has heartfelt moments to it. But at the end, I was like, that this is the stuff, like, you know, sometimes you just need a movie to like have a good time and laugh and then at the end feel good. Like, it's that.
Yes,
it's all of those things. It was perfect.
What streaming service did you see it on?
I think it was Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's Netflix.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I can still access Netflix with my old laptop that can't be traced. It's excellent, right? All right, Quiz Lady, I will check it out.
Yes.
I love Netflix movies. I just recently watched one of their new releases. You know, I like action adventure. I really do. If it's shoot 'em up, spies that are double crossed by the, you know, and then there's revenge in there, dude, I am all into those movies.
Yeah. Because I like the Taken movies, the Liam Neeson movies.
Yes.
Even though I do watch them and I'm kind of like poking the holes in the plot a little bit. Like, there's a couple of things where I'm just like, is that true? Like, but that's part of the fun for me. I still enjoy them very much, but I like adventure, and I like. Did you see the movie with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, where she's like that movie is hilarious. Like,
it is hilarious,
and it's stupid. I know it's stupid, but again, sometimes you don't want to like have something that's drums up your trauma or whatever, or makes you feel awful like along the way, right? And these are just like kind of silly movies that sometimes you just want to like feel good and escape for a moment.
There's a ton of them out there. When you watch a movie, do you find that because you have intuitive abilities that you know what the hell's going to happen, and then you get mad at yourself because you're like, God damn it, can I just watch a movie?
Yeah. We were watching this show called it's called Hentified. It's on Netflix too. It's a Netflix show, I'm pretty sure. And it's about this family, and they live in like East LA, and they have a family run taco store, and it's in danger of like them losing it. And so all the grandkids rile up around the grandpa and kind of try to help him, you know, help him get out of it or whatever. But anyway, there's parts of it where I was watching and I'm like, oh, like they would be perfect together. They should cook together. They should do this together. And then that's exactly what happens. And I'm just like, can I just watch a movie without like knowing exactly what's going to happen? Yeah. Too many times.
So New Year's Eve, I had drinks with some friends, and then I had dinner with some other friends at this really cool tiki bar. And so my friend, I had dinner with Laura and her partner Jen, and so they were like, have you seen the movie Saltburn? And I'm like, no. So they're like, you gotta watch it. So yesterday I was like, okay, well, I forget what I was doing. I was working on, I think I was working on content for our retreat. And so I just like to have a movie on in the background, which means I don't pay 100% attention.
Sure.
This movie kind of sucked me in because it's a lot different than something that I'm normally used to. As soon as I got to the point where I knew that I'm like, oh, he's going to turn the tables on people and he's going to be the one that fucks everybody up. Soon as I knew that, I lost complete interest. And I'm like, damn it. So, and then I'm like, well, I don't have the patience now to watch it. So then I went on to, Wikipedia. and I read it and I'm like, I knew it.
Yeah.
So, but I will tell you that it's dark and weird and twisted, and there's some scenes in there that are disgusting. And I recommend it for the twisted and for people who like dark sort of thrillers and twists and turns. And I didn't love it. I don't know. I don't like movies where people are mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of accounts that I can't follow because people are mean, or it's just when people are mean to each other.
Yeah.
I can leave a snotty comment on the socials like a pro, right? But when I'm watching it, I can't. So
yeah, I get that. And there's one account which I'm not going to name because she like if somebody leaves like an asshole comment, and so they deserve a response from her.
The pushback, yeah,
the pushback. However, and I'm not. This is not my judgment. It's just like she goes on and on and on about it, and then other people are like, I thought you were spiritual, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I mean, she's still allowed to that's spiritual bypassing, right? Like you're not gonna not have a reaction. But also to the extent at which she's using her platform is also kind of like, girl, like, I mean, but at the same time, that's how she wants to spend her energy. So like, let her be, I guess. I'll just end up scrolling.
It's true.
And that's the beauty of it though, right? That's the whole point is like, if you don't want it, just don't watch it. Like, you don't have to drop a comment just because you don't like it.
No, I mean, and a lot of times we're like, oh, get all like fired up. Like, I'm going to reply to this person that doesn't give a shit about what I think anyway, but I'm going to, do this to get it out. But there are there's a Facebook page and it's one of the witchy tarot, astro. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those. And she's always using her platform to share memes that are like, to all the people that don't like me, you can fuck off, right? Stuff like that.
Right.
But then also like complain about, just make snotty comments. And it's like, all right, look, I am all for it's your feed. You can say what you want, post what you want. People don't like it, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that people aren't going to unfollow you and or like scroll past.
Sure.
So
yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And the way I have to handle it is like, if that's all I'm seeing from that account, like
exactly,
it's gonna go away. Like,
yes.
But if it's just like every once in a while, I'm kind of here for like a little bit of spice.
Thank you. Exactly. That's what I say, right? I like to, on my personal Facebook account, it's mine. Don't tell me what to post. And don't fucking come at me for posting something, especially about MAGA, because I will be like throwing up my middle finger and being like, then leave. Then unfriend me.
Yes.
So, but I do like to curate my theme with funny, because funny memes are what I want to see. And so when I see them, I like to share them, right? Yes. Stupid shit, right? It's like very clever. I'm like, oh, that's funny, actually.
I want to laugh.
I like to share that. But once in a while, if I want to make a goddamn complaint about MAGA, I have every damn right to do it on my page, and I'm going to do it. So that's how that goes. All right. What else is going on? Do you have any announcements?
Well, I did want to tell you about my new routine.
Oh, what is it?
So I told you I'm trying to cut back on caffeine because there's a lot of reasons to do it. Okay. One is hormonal health. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Oh, for caffeine?
Yes, it does disrupt your hormones. It sucks.
All right.
I love coffee, but it just helps with drinking a little less. So I found this little shot and it's improved my mornings a ton. And I like that it's small so I can take it with me anywhere, or I can just pop it out of my fridge and drink it whenever I need a quick energy boost. And it's called Magic Mind.
Magic Mind. So what's in that?
So the primary ingredients that I was drawn to are lion's mane mushrooms and cordyceps mushrooms, although there's other stuff in there like ashwagandha and matcha as well.
What are those good for?
Okay, so lion's mane is a nootropic and adaptogen. It helps to reduce anxiety and inflammation. And cordyceps is also an adaptogen that also helps reduce inflammation, but it also strengthens your immune system. And it's just brain food. And then the matcha is for the caffeine. The ashwagandha helps with reducing stress and anxiety.
Actually, honestly, with my perimenopause, it sounds like something that I would actually, I don't even think it's perimenopause. I think it's just menopause or whatever at my age. But I think that that's something that would probably be really helpful. You said inflammation, correct?
Yep.
Reduces inflammation.
Yes. And since I love this product so much, we are now sharing it with all of our listeners. We have a special link and discount code because as of now, you can buy Magic Mind at your local Sprouts starting in January.
Nice.
So in order to get your extra 20% off plus first month free, you can visit magicmind.com/Jan Esoterics Podcast and use code Esoterics20, which are all listed in our show notes today.
Excellent.
All right. What announcements do you have?
Honestly, the only announcement that I have is that I changed my readings. I went from having like all these different readings, and I just combined a bunch. So I've got the Akashic Soul Blueprint reading. I've got a spiritual mediumship reading. I've got a business reading where I pull the Akashic record of your business. And then I've got a couple soul contract readings, one for one person, one for two people. And I'm pretty sure that's it.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it was just time.
Yeah.
So if you go to my website and you're looking for my tarot reading, it's included in the spiritual mediumship reading. So
yeah. So it's just more streamlined now.
It really is. It's just one thing I noticed is that a lot of readers out there have like 18 different readings. And honestly, for me, when you have that many readings, it's
like the menu at Cheesecake Factory.
Exactly. And it's like, for me, it's just like you're just trying to cover all the bases so people only go to you for readings. And it's like, well, that's not what I want to do. And I don't care to do that. I want people to come to me to get realigned with their soul blueprint and then send them on their way and go do and make way with your badass self in the world.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Retreat, man. We're retreating in a couple months. Registration for our 2024 Quantum Consciousness Retreat for pretty much everybody. Healers, mystics, seekers, alchemists. Okay, registration is open. It is open. And we are having so much fun planning the agenda. We don't have the details yet, but we will get those out to you soon. Yes. Spots are beginning to fill, so get your application in if you want to take part in Desert Hot Springs, California, located near Joshua Tree National Park. It is taking place Tuesday, March 19th through Friday, March 22nd. And the cost of the entire week is $1,555, and then there's an option to make monthly payments, which breaks the cost down into small, easier payments.
Yes. And if you've never taken part in one of our retreats, I gotta say, you're missing out.
It's true.
I know this is biased because it's coming from me. However, I love seeing the growth of people who have attended our retreats. Okay, so friend of the pod, Ashley.
Yeah,
so,
Ashley,
we're so proud of you. We're so proud of her. She started her Moon Mama business, and she's just taking off. We've seen her growth along the way, and she's participated in a couple of our retreats with us, and just seeing like everything that she's doing, and she's getting out there and achieving and working with people, and she's just such a lovely soul. And so people like her is why we do these retreats. Like, that is our purpose. That's what brings me joy.
It's true. She started out shy and a little bit introverted and, just like, and now she's just doing her thing. She just recently left her full-time job in order, well, I will say just like quote unquote, the corporate world, right?
Yes.
To go do her thing full-time. So yeah, I mean, that's what these retreats are. We love to bring people together and then give you some tools and knowledge to empower you to go out and light up the world with the thing that you want to share with the world, I guess.
Because everyone has gifts to share with the world. Yeah, absolutely. So join us.
Join us. Come hang with us. We're fun. We're fun. We promise.
We promise.
What are we going to talk about today?
Okay. So a little bit of trigger warning for today's episode. This episode is going to include talks of pet loss and death. So as we talked about early on in the episode, when I was saying how the end of the year really sucked, I am now in a place where I can talk about this because just a couple weeks ago, I was completely shattered because I lost my baby dog, Ruby. And it's been a really hard process, and I haven't felt this amount of grief in so long. And I've always empathized with my friends who, when they've lost their dog, even like my sister lost her dog around this time last year too.
She did, I remember.
And it was hard. And I remember me and my sister having a conversation about this, and she's like, why does this almost feel worse than like humans? And I'm like, because dogs are innocent, because dogs don't have the they don't carry around, the same amount of bad stuff that a person can do to you. They don't hurt you the way that a human can. So of course, and they teach us about compassion and unconditional love, and that's all they're here for. And so yeah, of course, when you lose them, it's incredibly hard and it's incredibly difficult. I feel like unfortunately, part of my journey with this specific grief is back to the feeling of unfairness that I felt before. Like when my dad had passed, I also felt like this is so unfair. Like, this is so unfair. How come at that time my thought was, how come there are people that are so evil in this world and they get to live forever? Like, God, how long was that fucking Castro guy alive for? Like he was in power for so long and he was so awful. So just like that thought is like kind of like where my mind went, of like, this is so unfair. Why do good people get taken away from us? So this wasn't really that thought. This was more of that I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to be there. There was no goodbye. Like, and that drums up like feelings of anger for me. With all of this, like, one of the things that I've done is just really like not really try to make sense of it, because I don't think that that's necessary. I understand like birth and death, rebirth, all this. It's like, it's part of the human experience. It's part of life on Earth, right? Like, we live in these bodies, whether they be animal bodies, plant bodies, human bodies, that they expire at some point. It's just what happens. But I did kind of start looking into and just asking about reincarnation and how that works, just because I've heard so many stories of people who are like, oh, well, their dog comes back and they come back, whatever way. Like my friend Joseph, before he got his dog, now he had seen a psychic and they told him that his dog Buddy, who was like his childhood dog, was ready to come back to him. And he was like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready to have a dog right now. And yeah, and like through like, just like a series of events or whatever. But one of the things that I read was, first, with that, it's part of a soul contract still, right? So you still have a soul contract, whether it's you and a human or you and your dog, you and your pet, you all have soul contracts. And the part of reincarnation has to be already in your agreement, and both of you have to agree.
Yes.
But generally, you need to grieve. Like, you need to have the time to grieve. That's part of the process. Your pet or loved one won't reincarnate right away, because then you won't have the chance to go through your grief. Like, that's part of the process of what you're here to experience, unfortunately. And I just feel like grief is such a heavy thing with being a human, and we go through it so many times and in so many different ways too. Like, we grieve our old selves. Like, I remember like becoming a mom, right? Like, when you become a mom, we become a parent, there's a part of you, whether consciously or subconsciously, you grieve like who you were before, the
losing yourself.
Yeah. Like, there's a version of yourself that will never exist again. That's gone.
You'll always and forever now be a mom and have that responsibility and have that identity, and everything changes. Your focus, your responsibility, your structure, all of that.
Yep. Yeah. So I feel like there are different things that we grieve, right? Like, there's also just like the end of a relationship, even though like nobody dies, but like there's the relationship ends, and there's that grieving period too. But we try to, I feel like with all of those, what you do, I don't want to say the best way. Like, I feel like just for me, this is just very personal. This is like how I've just tried to work through it, is just try to honor the best parts of that time period. Right, whatever that was, like whether it was in my youth, the fun times that I had in that time. If a relationship ended, like, okay, but there were some highlights to that as well. Like, there were some good things, there were some things that I learned, some good things that I learned out of it. And then now with this, it's like, I'm not through it yet. Like, I can't tell you like, oh, there were all these, yes, like I love that I had the time that I had with her, that I had 5 years with her, that I was able to find her, because I remember the day we went to the adoption fair to look for a dog. We were about to leave because I was like, I don't see one. I don't see my dog. There was a lot of puppies, and I knew I didn't want a puppy. I didn't want the responsibility of a puppy. I would love a puppy, but I don't want the responsibility of one.
They're cute, but they're not cute after they're cute. After they're not cute,
right? Yeah, especially if they're not house trained and all that stuff. But yeah, and then we're about to leave, and then Mike goes, he's like, "Well, what about that one?" And then we see her, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that is the cutest dog!" And we picked her, or she picked us.
Oh, see, I thought that you got Ruby from your mom because your mom adopted her, and she didn't.
No, that was Honey. That was Honey.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, so Ruby was handpicked.
Yeah. Ruby was picked from the adoption agency. Yeah, and she was very skittish and very shy, and she did not trust people easily. So it took her a while. I remember, like, I was the one that grabbed her and held her like the first couple of days, and the whole point, what we were supposed to do with her was, okay, Sophia had Honey, and Honey would sleep with her. So we're like, well, we'll get another dog, and then she'll sleep with Santino. But they did not. That was not how that was not at all how it turned out. Because Ruby, first of all, did not trust Santino. Like, she didn't. she only wanted to be with me. I was the first person that she kind of like bonded with, and so then she would just sleep with us in our room. And then as soon as Honey saw, oh, well, you guys had a new dog, and she sleeps with you, so that means I sleep with you too. So now we had two dogs.
What did Sophia say? Was she like, what?
Yes.
My dog.
Yeah. So it's funny because even now she'll still do it. Honey will sometimes she'll get up in the early morning, and then she'll leave our room and go lay down with Sophia. So we tell her, she's like, oh, she's gonna go do her shift with Sophia.
Oh, and she's still doing it now with Ruby not being around.
Yeah. She still goes, and she'll do her shift in the morning when she's here. And we were really afraid of them getting along, because that was our whole thing. Like, when we filled out the application process, and I remember there was a question on there that they asked, like, if there were any reasons why you wouldn't be able to keep the dog that you picked, what would they be? And I had said, like, well, if she didn't get along with my dog, like, I'm sorry, but, like, you know, my dog takes priority. She doesn't have anywhere to go. But they were fine.
Yeah,
they got along like right away. And that was like, I would come to find out, like, that was very different for Ruby, and even Honey. Like, Honey doesn't like other dogs easily.
Now, remember how much they both hated Hollis? I just look at him, and it would just, this bark fest would ensue. And Hollis is like, man, I just want to like play.
I just want to play with you. But they were like, nope. Nope. No. And I think they were just like, you're so big, like, you're so tall, you know.
That's exactly, yes.
Yeah, but that's how they were. But yeah, they were really good with each other. Have you seen the portrait that Mike had made for me? The sister's portrait?
Why is it not coming to my brain? It's not coming to my brain.
So I'll post it, but look here. Let me see. I'll show you. Do you see?
Oh yes, I saw that one. Yes, I love.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a painting of both Honey and Ruby
in like fancy dresses.
Oh my god, yes, you have to post that. People will love that.
It was the silliest thing, but it was I think it was my Christmas present like 2 years ago, I think, is when he got it for me. And it was the best. It was the best Christmas present. But and now it's been kind of sad now, because I'm looking at it all the time. I still look at it every day. But yeah, I have a lot more peace with it. I just kind of like acceptance, I think, is where I'm at right now, of just in the acceptance phase. Going back to like what I was researching about reincarnation, guys, I'm just more like, I just want to know. So one of the things was that even though reincarnation can be possible, it's never to be expected that it's going to be like, it's not cloning. Like, you're not going to get the same dog again.
Or the same personality. No.
Nope.
It's like with humans.
Yes, because they're here to have a new experience. There's no point in them having the same experience all over again. That's pointless. Same with humans, right? Humans don't come to have the same experience again.
No.
And so that's why like that grief process is so important. And it has to be accepted. Like if that's what you really want, you have to make that decision. I personally, I don't think I want that. I don't know. It's kind of a lot. I think it's too early really for me to even like think that way. It came up with like the kids. Like Santino was the first one asking. He's like, "Are we going to get another dog?" And I was like, "No, how dare you? How dare you?
Right.
How dare you ask me that? No, I don't want another dog. I'm just taking care of Honey now and just hoping that she's okay." So that was big. I guess I'd never really thought about that, about like when, you know, considering the idea of reincarnation. And that's true, because I've asked Joseph about his dog. I'm like, so is he like, is Hudson his dog now? Like, is he a lot like Buddy? And he's like, there's a couple of things. There's like a few things about him, but overall, no, he's a different dog, and he's a completely different breed. All of that. Yeah.
Yes. Dugan was my first dog. Dugan is, you know, you have that one dog who's like your soul dog. It's hard because Dugan was an easier dog. He was a yellow lab, full lab. And he was just easy. He was chill. He was, you know, really independent and all that stuff. Hollis is a completely different dog. He is a little bit more intense, but he's goofier and sillier, and he's a lab pet mix. He's got more personality than Dugan had. But Hollis is a soulmate dog, because Hollis came to me at a time when I too had said, I don't want any more dogs. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want, there's a lot of responsibility with a dog. And then as, you know, like I can't travel, like now I can't travel without getting dog sitters. It's expensive. It's just, there's a lot. So I know for sure after Hollis, I'm not going to get another dog unless I have partnership to share responsibility of this thing. But I don't feel at all as if Hollis is Dugan reincarnated. Like they're two separate energies.
Yeah. Honey is my Chihuahua dog that I had when I was a little girl. She's a reincarnation of that dog.
She is.
And I'll tell you why. So my Chihuahua, I got him when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember going to pick him out of the litter. And so we got him, I picked him before he was ready to go home. And then once he was old enough, they gave him to us and we brought him home. But I was a child, like almost a toddler. And my parents didn't know anything about owning a dog other than like, because the way that they own dogs in their country is way different than the way that we have dogs here.
It's true. In Texas, it's different. I mean, they're outside dogs and there's...
Right.
Yeah.
And a Chihuahua...
part of the family.
And a Chihuahua cannot be an outside dog, right?
No.
So, and we lived in an apartment. And so he was not house trained. And I didn't know how to house train a dog. I was a little girl. He would poop exclusively under my bed. I had like a trundle bed that didn't have a trundle, and he was obviously tiny, and so he would poop under my bed, and I would never tell anyone because I did not want to get him in trouble. And one day this friend comes over. And I don't know, we're playing in my room, and I don't know, he looks, or I don't know how he must have just seen it, right? He sees it, and he goes and he tells my mom, "There's a bunch of dog poop
fucker." He snitched on you without even the benefit of...
Yeah, he snitched on the dog. And and so then eventually my parents decided to give the dog away because they didn't know how to properly care for the dog and didn't have time for it, all that stuff. And that was probably like one of my early first traumas was watching this lady come to our apartment and take my dog. And I'm sitting there, like my eyes are like just, you know, swollen with tears, and I can barely see through my tears, and she's taking my dog. But my mom's like, he'll be okay. He'll be, you know, they're going to take care of him. And they did because they were they were friends of friends. And I don't think I ever got to see him again. But he was taken care of, and he had a good life. And I met his grandson or his grandchild at some point. And it was sweet because I have a picture of him somewhere too, and I was like, oh, like that was my dog. Anyway, so that happened.
That's Honey, and that's who Honey is.
Yes, and so Honey I took away from my mom. So that was like,
that's right.
Yes. So that was like kind of like the full
Mm-hmm.
circle moment of like, well,
Mm-hmm.
you took my dog away, so now I take your dog away. And
Yes.
and because I feel like obviously the personality is very different, but everyone who if you look at Honey, you're always like, what kind of dog is she? And she was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a Maltese. She's not. She's something else. I don't know what she is. She's like a Maltese Chihuahua mix is like my best guess of what she could be. But between her and Ruby, but specifically Honey's the best dog I've ever had. Like I've never had a better dog than her. She listens. She doesn't pee or poop inside the house. She's calm, she's sweet. She doesn't bark at people, actually, I've come to find out.
And that was all Ruby's
that
influence?
That was all Ruby. They would bark together. It was both of them together, but she doesn't bark by herself. She's just the sweetest dog. She just wants to be loved, and she loves to play fetch. She's like the best at fetch. Like,
she really is good at fetch. Like she's fun. Ruby or Honey and Ruby are, I mean, I'm a dog person anyway, and my friends' dogs, I'm like, okay, I need to get to know your dog.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but Ruby was timid, but she was also very sweet. And like eventually after like 3 days when I'm leaving the next day, then Ruby's like, okay, you can pet me. But Honey was like, hey Joe, what's up? Let's talk,
right away. Right away. And especially if you have a ball with her, if you have a ball, then now she's your friend and she loves you forever. So yeah, but it's been really hard. It was especially hard with the kids because everyone was crying. All of us were crying. And then we get home because all of this happened while we're on vacation.
So you're feeling helpless.
Yes. Yeah, there was a lot of feelings of helplessness. And then we get here, and literally the moment the plane lands and my phone gets off of airplane mode is when I found out. And so that drive home is like a couple of hours, and we're just crying the entire time. And then the following days, I mean, like, I'm crying, Mike is crying, like, we're crying at night, we cry in the morning when we wake up. Like, it's hard because she slept with us. Like, we notice that she's not there at night. We notice that she's not there with us in the morning. And I'm grateful now to be at the point where I can talk about it. But it was very difficult. It felt just excruciating.
Who found her, or how did that all come about? And were you able to bury her?
No. We only know what happened to her through the neighbors, like some people in the neighborhood who were the ones that found her, and they called animal control, and they took her. And apparently if you do that, just FYI, if you ever see a pet and they have a collar on, so you know it's a pet, if you call animal control to pick them up, they're just going to automatically incinerate them. They're not going to notify the owners because she was microchipped. Even with the microchip, they do not scan them. They don't scan them.
That seems, what is the point? All right.
When they're alive. I know. When they're alive, they'll scan them. But if they're dead, they don't care. So yeah. So that was also infuriating as well, because we didn't have anything to bury or anything. But whatever, you learn how systems work, and then I don't know, you try to share that information with other people, so hopefully it doesn't happen to them.
Well, I'm sorry, because that's a part of closure. And then also, to have been able to bring her home and bury her in the garden, is that's something that you deserve. You deserve to have that, or at least have, the bones. I mean, the thing that I'm very lucky about when Dugan died, my mom actually was like, well, I want to pay for his cremation, because it was very expensive for cremation anyway. I'm like, I can't put him in the ground. I just can't. So you have the option of doing a group cremation where you get some ashes back, but it's probably like 8 other dogs too.
Sure.
Or the private. And I was like, I can. So my mom was like, she paid for that. And so I have this little, I have like it's like a square tin, and it's got his ashes in it. So he goes where I go, and I'm going to do the same for Hollis. Hopefully I'm able to, if I'm able to.
Right. Yeah. I think one of the things for me, I've come to realize, even like for myself, like, I don't want to be buried. And I really don't care to be cremated either. Like, I guess, like, yeah, sure, if that's what you want, but it doesn't matter. Like, once the soul has left the body is just a shell, and it doesn't mean anything for me anymore.
Yeah.
That's not to say that like if I didn't have my dog, I wouldn't have done something with it. That's different. I just how I've kind of been able to just accept it is to just that understanding is that like, yes, our bodies are just vessels and they're only meant to like serve for so much time. So if I could have it, then that would be great. But if I can't, also like that's just how things are. And so just have to like come to that acceptance. But she has been coming in for me in clairvoyant ways. A couple days ago when I walked out of the house, I just had like this dog pee smell, just like as soon as I walked out the door, and I was like, what? It smells like it's on me. Like I was like, I'm sniffing my sweater, and I'm like, did Honey pee on my sweater? Like
she knows how powerful your sniffer is too, so she's gonna pick the path of least resistance to connect with you.
Yeah. So my sense of smell is just definitely one of my strongest senses. And so and it was weird because at first I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just walking outside. Maybe like a dog peed nearby recently, whatever. I'm driving to the post office. I get to the post office. I get out of the car, and then there's a smell again. And I was like, okay, that's not possible. Like that doesn't make any sense. So then I started thinking like, okay, all right. So you're sending me this sign. Okay, I recognize this one, I think. And then thanks for that one. And then the other one, the next day was I was outside and I was working on the grass outside, and I smelled the skunk. And then at first I was like, oh shit, like a skunk. And I turn around and I'm like looking, to see if there's a skunk somewhere around. And obviously there's nothing. But then I am like, oh, okay, I get it. Like it's her, because that was one of the other smells that unfortunately I would come to associate with her sometimes, because she is the reason why they got skunk so many times, because she's the one that would run out there and bark and scare the crap out of the skunk. And
oh, I love that though, that she's using these smells to communicate.
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest things about animals is that they do come through in mediumship readings. And, you have a lot of people out there that are animal communicators, and they can actually communicate with the animal, but then they also come through, and we've all experienced the death of an animal.
Yeah.
Some really peaceful, like Dugan went, I was holding him when he went, I took him to the vet and he was put to sleep. And then my dog Polly, who was hit by a car. And, that was a very traumatic, another dog, couple pets I had, my mom gave them away without the benefit of me being able to say goodbye. So, whatever, like you said, it's unconditional love. And they don't care if you smell or are broke or those animals are specifically there to love you.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what makes them such, beautiful little angels.
Yes.
Mine keeps walking in here. I think he's trying to tell me he wants his dinner.
So I found this list to help with the grief. This is specifically for pet grief, but I think grief in general, like these could work with this. So the first flower essence is hound's tongue. This is to help enhance holistic thinking for those who may want to believe in animal communication, but still may find it hard to believe in anything less than the scientific or the measurable. Kind of helps to open up your senses to that.
Oh, nice.
It enhances the spiritual perception of the natural world. And then there's star tulip. This softens resistance to the spiritual realm, ability to feel soul communion with higher spiritual forces, and receptivity to the spiritual worlds, especially like listening to your own higher self. And then there's a way to the God self, which I've never heard of that flower before. But this helps to connect with our higher self and inner guidance, to communicate directly with it. It also helps heal crisis of faith. Which I know I've gone through that when I've gone through my grief. And then there's forget me not, and that deepens our awareness of our spiritual connection with those who have physically passed and helps us develop telepathic communication with them, which I think that's really sweet.
That's really sweet.
And then the last one is Queen of the Night cactus. This essence is for honoring your own intuitive impressions, and it is excellent for you if you place a higher value on what you think rather than allowing your intuition to be of equal worth. It's also appropriate if you focus too much on outer events and not enough on contemplation and inward looking. And I thought that was really beautiful that I came upon this, specifically a list of flowers to help with this, because I have many pictures of Ruby, but my favorite picture of her is one of her and a flower and a rose.
Yes, it's in her ear, right?
It looks like it's in her ear, but she's just like standing like just behind it. Yeah, and it's like just perfectly, yeah.
Sweet Ruby. She really was sweet. I wish everybody could have known her. You know, and like you said, you know, when you see, you know, a lot of times when their pets pass, they'll of course, you know, say, you know, we had to say goodbye to our sweet so-and-so, or, you know, and they'll post pictures and stuff. And I'm always 10,000 times more hit when somebody's pet dies than, you know, when you say, you know, unfortunately we lost Uncle Sal. It's like, sorry, Sal.
Yeah.
But with Ruby, it was interesting because at first I saw it on Instagram, you know, and I was like, oh, Ruby, oh no, right? But the feeling was, all right, well, you know, she'll get back. It just sucks that you're on vacation.
Yes.
And, you know,
yes.
You know, and then we had a friend, a psychic friend, you know, provide some information. So it was all very uplifting. And then, you know, you sent me a text and you told me that she was gone. And honestly, I just started bawling. I was just like, just bawling. And I'm like, yes, you know, I think Ruby was just the sweetest girl, but really more, it was like, oh my God, like the first thing I thought of was like, your family, you know, I thought about the kids, I thought about everybody, and I was like, ugh, I just want to like, why do they have to go through that? Why, you know what I mean? So it's not easy losing an animal. It is not easy at all. And I know it doesn't compare to losing a family member. But damn, it just, you're right. It just doesn't seem fair. It's like,
it's, you know, but you know what, at the same time though, it's a different experience, especially like that the children have with the animal than what like they would have with like Uncle Bill or someone, you know what I mean? Like that might like be a family member that they see like once or twice a year, if that. And maybe we had like a lot of experiences with that family member because we grew up with them or something, but like our children, you know, probably not. But like for kids, like their dogs or pets they're with them every single day, and they have so much more, you know, relationship with them. So I feel like especially for children, it's actually harder. I'm talking about like extended family. To see to have a pet who passes versus extended family like that they don't see very often. But I am grateful for the information that I have, for the things that I've learned, for the connection that I have to my higher self, to my spirit guides, and just to basically to the unknown, really. And how much I know and I understand, because I know that I am sad because I don't have her here in the physical, but I still feel her soul, like her soul's still around. And I know that like souls never die. That doesn't get destroyed. They do move on, but their energy is still alive and still there. So for that, and all the growth and the awakening and all the information and all the stuff that I've learned over the last like 4 or 5 years, like I'm just like thankful for all of it, like how it's just really allowed me to like work through it. The other thing that I noticed about myself was, as I'm like crying and just kind of like allowing myself to have these emotions, I still had I obviously have a lot of guilt because I'm supposed to be, you know, her caregiver and supposed to take care of her at all times. So I had a lot of that guilt, but I did notice myself like kind of like running through stories, but I was able to like kind of create that distance and like that more like observer type of perspective out of the whole situation of like, okay, I can watch myself telling these stories. I can see that they are not actually helping what I'm going through. And if anything, they're making things worse. But yet I'm going to allow myself to have them because that is all part of the human experience.
Yes. Allowing yourself. That's a part of the grief process, you know? I mean, it's the first thing we're going to do is, what could I have done? Oh, this is my fault. If I hadn't have been on vacation, if I hadn't have, I mean, and like I said, it's weird that Honey didn't follow her first off. So there's all of these other circumstances that contribute to it. So, but yeah, allowing yourself to feel that grief and experience that grief, but also, you're going to feel guilty about it regardless. I know when Dugan passed, I had just gotten back from vacation. So I only had like 2 days with him after I got back. And then I had to take him, in, I came home and he was having a seizure, and I just said to him, I picked up his face and I said, buddy, I said, when it's time to go, when you're ready to go, just let me know. And then like 2 days later, he just came up to me and he just looked at me, and I just knew, I'm going to start crying. I just knew he's just like, I'm ready.
I'm done.
So I gave him one more day. And we spent the day just cuddling and feeding him. I fed him cheeseburgers, and then I took him in, and then I held him when the doctor injected him. But, I was like, well, if I hadn't gone on vacation, cause I was gone like 14 days, that's 14 days that I could have had with him and that sort of thing. But you beat yourself up, and there's nothing you can't. Sometimes I think that they choose, to leave at times when it's going to be more convenient, so that it's going to be less, her leaving.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe she was like,
I don't know.
Less.
I feel like she was a little dramatic, and she had to have a dramatic end as well. So
yeah.
I don't.
She was.
She's not.
I'm gonna go out like on my terms.
Yeah. That's kind of a little bit more her energy, even though. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. You can hear Hollis in the background probably hacking. So I've been trying not to talk, so you can edit that out. But this whole time he's got to go outside because he got to eat grass and stuff. And I'm like, well, this is bad timing, buddy. So we take a very quick break so I can let him out.
Yeah.
Dude, what's going on? Why are you freaking out? Don't be barking on the carpet either.
Okay. But I have been seeing a lot of hawks, like many. I see them all the time as it is, but I've been seeing like groups now. Like I'm seeing like 3 at a time, 2 or 3 at a time.
And that's from your dad. Those are signs from your dad.
Yeah, usually. Yeah. But now it's interesting to me to see them in groups, to see them like to see 2 at a time or 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Like that. Because you don't really see hawks that in groups. Like they're not group animals.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. The only time I see them is over in the park. And usually I hear them first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's it. I mean, I kind of want to leave this off on like a higher note, but like I don't really have much. I don't have much else.
I don't really know what to say either. You're gonna have to do some editing on this last end of it.
That's okay.
Let's see what we can.
Okay, so part of this art, like this one article on Medium, it just says that like when a pet passes and before it reincarnates, they live in the afterlife, and that's a place where they can watch over us and communicate. And they communicate with us in very subtle ways if we take time to listen and observe. Spirit animals are fond of using electricity to communicate. That's new. I never heard that before. And then there's like several books listed on here too.
Do you believe in like the Rainbow Bridge, that people talk about, like where pets die? It's like this, I don't even know why they never show a bridge. It's always a freaking hill.
Yeah, I mean, like all dogs go to heaven type of
type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think that it's a comforting thought, but honestly, I think that when our pets pass over, that our loved ones are there to sort of say, okay, I think that pets are definitely a part of our soul group or our soul family. And I think that the soul contracts between people and pets are just as serious as between people and humans. I can't say that I know a lot about, pets in the life between life stage. I've had several come through, but I just think that if a soul is incarnating as a first or second dimensional, well, it'd be a second dimensional, a sentient being, plants, trees, animals, that sort of thing. I don't know if it's prep work or if it's a rest, like it's a life where you get to incarnate, but it's restful. A lot of times I know that Hollis is my soul. He is a soul contract, and Hollis has taught me things that I could not have learned without him in my life during the period that I've had him. So, I mean, I just think for me, it gives me more peace to know that they actually have their own soul blueprints.
Yeah.
And, they have a purpose and a path. And it's, yes, they're here to love us and we're here to learn unconditional love from them, but they are also having experiences that lend themselves to their evolution and awakening and growth and ascension and all that stuff. So that's also cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ruby got to go. She got to go to Portland. She went to the beach. So
she did too.
She the only thing we ever did was never put her in the pool because I felt like that would be really traumatic for her. And I wasn't trying to like add more trauma to my poor little like rescue dog. So yeah, she traveled and she got to see things and she experienced things, and we loved her very much. So I think that's the best you can offer a dog is
100%.
Giving them the love that they give you back.
She was lucky. You made her a really beautiful home, and you were all really good mamas and dads and sisters and brothers to her. So
yeah, she's a good dog. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing with us today, opening up to us and sharing that with us. We're sending you all sorts of love.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, friends, that means it's time to say goodbye. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it on your stories, subscribe, and leave us a review. This helps our podcast grow. And if we grow, that means the ability to do this work grows.
Thank you all for hanging out with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and don't let anyone tell you what to do.
Bye.
Bye.